and welcome back to another episode, a bonus episode of the Fin and G podcast, the home of dysfunctional rugby league. Now, you are joined, as always, by the sultry, the smooth, the buttery, soft tones of the ever-reliable Finn. G is again busy, once again choosing a placement at a hospital over doing the podcast. So, I don't know, some people got different priorities. I'll leave that up to your interpretation. The previous two games, look, this is a bonus, special episode, giving the immediate aftermath of Origin 3, giving my takes on that. G, of course, will be next episode. She'll give her breakdown. Spoiler alert, it'll be a lot of, go New South Wales, it was the best thing, oh my god, I had to sit there for 8 years and it never weirded us. Again, another spoiler alert, you didn't miss out on much yesterday. I got the live experience. It wasn't great. No, not great, but look, usually you've got to sit here for a week, stew on our thoughts, quote unquote, let the emotion go. It doesn't, it actually just festers. But I decided today I'll come straight into the studio and give my takeaways on the game. Look, before we get into it, if you do enjoy the podcast, as usual, you got to give a shameless little plug. If you like, rate, review, subscribe, do anything, leave fan mail through the simple send us a text message button. Of course, though, if you do that, just put your name with it, so then it's not otherwise it's anonymous. So, if you want to be anonymous, that's up to you. But anything you do to help. But anyway, look, into the game itself, just first thing, I guess I got to sit here and take my licks. I'm still a proud Queenslander, but New South Wales, they deserved that. They were the better team by quite a margin, in my opinion. They were clearly the better team the whole series, and they showed that last night. They showed that in Game 3. They were the better team. And full credit to New South Wales, It's been a good 20-year run, but we'll give you this one. So enjoy it while it lasts. But look, and go back. I urge you to go back, re-listen to all episodes of the podcast. But especially in the first few, when giving predictions, I don't want to pat myself in the back too much. I don't want to, the nickname, the Nostradamus of rugby league, it does get thrown around a bit, and it's embarrassing. But oh god, if you hear it enough, if it quacks, it's probably a duck. So whatever, I'll take it. Thanks, guys. I did say, and if for some reason it's not on air, G can definitely back me up. I did say pre-season, as soon as Madge was appointed, I've always been a big Madge guy. Especially like you watch Tiger Town, just seeing, the Tigers are a basket case, and look at them now. So he's been vindicated beyond belief. But you just, he's known for his intensity. He's known for his work ethic. He's known for what he asks of the players. And even at the Tigers, you could see, they weren't getting results, but his passion, his belief, it was undeniable. So soon as he was appointed head coach, I honestly had that feeling. I would have said it in the early episodes. Go back, check the tapes. But I really think with these two coaches, it can be very back and forth. My instinct was New South Wales will win this year. And I really think that it can be quite like a back and forth decade. If these two guys, Billy and Madge, stay at the helms, I really can just see it 1 year New South Wales, 1 year Queensland. I can't see either getting, the upper hand consistently, which is what you want. That's what you want in Origin. Even, as a Queensland fan, 2014, it was nice to see. Now, of course, we went on and won the next 3 years, and you go, okay, it was a blip on the radar, but it was nice to see for that 1 year. Just how excited New South Wales get, especially living in New South Wales. Just think how excited people get, I've never had to wear their shoes, so I've never really felt that pain. Ours is just 12 months, and it only has happened, God, in my life, we won't count, from 2005, I started watching. So then we won the next 8. I wore their shoes 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. In my 25 years, we'll say 20 years of watching football, I've only had to wear your shoes as a New South Wales fan 4 times. So they're pretty clean, pretty fucking clean. They're not much odor in them. I could resell them for quite a pretty penny, to be sure. But look, it is actually nice to see how excited they are, and I really do think that it can be a very back and forth contest, which is what you want. I also, and I definitely said this on air, I thought they would this series no Turbo, no Latrell, even if healthy. Bit of a call, but the kid again, Nostradamus of rugby league. I don't know. What the fuck? I don't know. I also said it's Moses' team. I don't know. I don't know. I get it. Cleary's been injured, but I don't know. There's a bit in that. I also said Zach Lomax to play for New South Wales. I don't know. There's people who, okay, I'll take it. I'm Nostradamus. I'll take it if it don't shut you up. Yeah, look, in all seriousness, they're the better team. And I just think they just handled it better. And I think that I'm glad they won, because I think that if New South Wales had a loss last night, I don't think they would have got the respect or recognition or appreciation, Madge especially, that they deserved. In terms of, I think we can all agree, when was the last time that you saw a New South Wales team with a clear identity? I cannot honestly remember one. Like 2014, they win. That was, their identity was, I guess, they'd eventually gotten sick and tired of losing, and it was just desperate. And Queensland probably, honestly, just once they got to 8, went, shit, we'll get to 10, took the foot off the pedal. New South Wales scraped a win. Even in 18 and 19, when they won, it was like, there was just no clear identity. 21, the same thing. 21 was points, but you know what I mean? But this year, it was clear from the outgo, from his team selections, it was big, strong, powerful. That was their team. Their team identity is power and aggression. And I don't think I've ever seen a New South Wales team disrespect Queensland to the extent that these guys did. And as a Queensland fan, yeah, maybe last night I was asking for Angus Crichton to be shot. I don't know, maybe I said that a couple of times. Maybe I said he's a bit of a Derek. I don't know. Maybe I said Luai should be taken out back. I cannot remember, but it is possible that I made comments like that. I may have made comments that Cam Murray coming off the bench should be sent and suspended for life. I don't know. I can't be held accountable for what I said in the throes of passion, but it is possible I said things like that. They just disrespected Queensland, and that's what they had to do. They've never done that before. I think every other team that goes to Queensland in a decider, they've lost because they've been timid. They've been too respectful, and the game gets tight, and they let it override them. It overawe them. Whatever the fuck the word is. But you know what I mean. It gets too big for them, and that didn't happen last night. So I love their identity, and I think what played into that, or I don't know if played into it's the right word, but I'm glad that it happened, is I'm glad that Cleary was injured. Because I think it really, and you know what, I'm glad that Turbo, Latrell, and Cleary were injured. Because I wonder if his game plan and Madge's strategy, if he's strong enough to make that call with those guys. Because I do not think that those three guys, I mean, you saw that Latrell could fit in. I don't think Turbo and Cleary fit into that mold. So I'm glad that when he chose his team, he didn't have to worry about the noise of leaving either of those guys out. Of course, he leaves Turbo out last game, but you would have been stupid to pick Turbo. Off one game where he limped through, and of course, Cleary was injured. I just like that he was able to avoid the noise of not selecting them because he got to choose the team that he wanted, and it's that his team was just built on that game plan. And you saw it last night. Even last night, that first half was incredible. 2-0 halftime score up for Queensland. It was incredible. I can't remember a more physical, but clean game. And when I say clean, there was a lot of niggle. Queensland especially, they were really they went out there that first 20 minutes. They were grappling. In fairness, they were doing everything New South Wales has been doing, but they were out there with one goal in mind, and that was not to be bullied. And that worked, But you could see, like, watching it, I felt like the Queensland in the first half, they were doing the bigger hits and making bigger statements with their defense. But New South Wales kept rolling. Even though Queensland looked like they were being so dominant in defense, New South Wales were getting to 50 metres with ease most of the time. Reverse of that, they'd kick, Queensland couldn't make it out of their 30. Just couldn't. So it's like they could defend them, but they just could not burst through them. And that held until the 60th minute. And I think, at the time, when it was 2-0 at halftime and going into that first half, the last 10 minutes, I thought that's when you could have put a Ponga on or a Watson. I thought you could have tried to break the game open there. Neither team did. So then in the second half, I really thought that Watson would come on with Ponga at the same time because they could offer the same thing. Obviously a bit forward, like Watson's more forward-minded, Ponga more, is a back's perspective. But I really thought that speed through the middle would be used to combat each other. But then Ponga comes on at the 50th minute and Watson's still not on. And it's at that point, what was it, 4-4? I think it was 4-4. And you're going, I was questioning that. I thought, this is going to go one or two ways. Like, surely he's not just a cover. If he is just a cover, that is crazy to me. So it was like, once he wasn't put on with Ponga at the 15-minute mark, to me, it was just going to go one or two ways. He's going to leave him for the last 15 minutes, and it's either going to be too late, or he's just going to blow the game open. And that's exactly what happened. So, full credit to Madge, that turned out to be a masterstroke. I don't think, I wouldn't have been brave enough to leave him. I would have put him on as soon as Ponga went on. I would have put Connor on. But he left it to the last 15 minutes, and what happened? They scored 2 tries, and he was directly involved in them. And the first try, especially to Braddy Best, like, it that summed up the night, and it summed up the series, honestly. Like that play itself, Angus Crichton in the second half was throwing crazy offloads. Like, they were not good offloads. He was just chucking it. He was throwing it at the ground. He was throwing it at guys' heads. But every time, New South Wales, even if he hit the deck, they would somehow pick it up. Connor Watson picks that one up, scrambles a loose pass on the deck to Luai. Bad pass, but New South Wales keep it. New South Wales then get the break, throws it. Then even he throws the pass to Bradman Best. It lands on his shoulder. He's having it catch it to the side of his head. You're thinking surely he's taken. Nope, somehow bursts through 2 tackles, scores. It summed up the night in the series. Like, every 50-50 call went New South Wales' way. Every bounce of the ball went New South Wales' way. Every, loose ball, loose pass, intercept, it just all went New South Wales' way. And, that play right there that broke the game up, broke it open, that summed it up. It summed it up. If that was Queensland this series, they knock it on off the ground. Even the one where Tommy did get the breakaway, what happened? He slightly bobbles the ball on the ground. The one where Queensland chip it over to Cobbo and it bounces over his head. Like, it's, tailor the tape a bit. But in terms of, stand-up performances, Watson, he won't get appreciated, but he directly was involved in 2 tries in the last 15 minutes and he broke the game open. Soon as he came on, Queensland were gassed. He timed it to perfection and he's just energy. He just lifted up the energy, burst through the middle, and he got the boys rolling. And Queensland, they were done. They were absolutely done. Mitchell Moses, again, talk about, like, saving sets. You talk about saving sets. He did it to perfection. Anytime, especially in the first half, that looked like Queensland were getting a bit of ascendancy. And instead of getting to 30 metres, they get to 60 metres. And you're going, okay, maybe the boys are rolling. And then they'd defend and keep New South Wales in their 30. And then he would just pull out a 60, 70 metre on the full kick, pin it to a corner, and then Queensland, again, are stuck in their own half, can't get out. So every set, New South Wales started on their 30 or 40, and then every set, Queensland was starting on their 10 or 20. Like, it was just incredible kicking game for him. And I love that he scored that try at the end. As a Queensland fan, I'm a Queensland fan, but I live in New South Wales, so I have to deal with the New South Wales media. And I personally hate the culture of, like, you can be critical of guys, but Jesus Christ. I hate just the throwing guys, throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I just hate the piling on of guys that, they should retire from football. They should never touch a ball again. Oh my days. It does my head in. And Mitchell Moses was another one. He loses that series. What's the bet? All the talk is that he should never play again. But no, he stands up, he delivers, he doesn't let the moment get too big for him, and it was only fitting that he scored that try. Another, tail of the tape, New South Wales, he goes off of 3 minutes to go with the torn bicep. Oh my God, it couldn't happen in the 30th minute? Fuck me dead. Just another thing, like just everything went their way. Absolute shame for Mitchie, but again, only happens in the last 3 minutes, like just every little thing, but he was a standout, of course. I thought Luai was excellent, and he's been, I've got to tip my hat off to him. He's been unreal this series, and he really has put a lot of people, he's made them respect him. He's made me respect him. Now, do I think he's a Derek? Yes. But when you're winning, you earn the right. So you can't say he's doing it when he loses because, you don't see him lose. And I think the thing with him and Penrith players is that, and it's always been my thought anyway, is that what happens when they're on the back foot? What happens when things aren't going their way? What happens when the pressure's on and they need to come up with something and they're down or the moment's gone? And generally, I think it's fair to say they crumble. Not huge collapses, but you don't see them on the back foot early. But when they are, they struggle to come back because it's unfamiliar territory to them. Luai this series, all series, has stood up and delivered in those moments. So, I can't wait till he's at the Tigers. He has got me believing. Yes, I think he's a bit of a Derek, but he's earned the right to be a Derek. So, he's absolutely earned the right. I just can't wait to see him at the Tigers. I really think he can change that joint around. He's got me believing. I really think next year they can pull out a top 16 finish. I really believe it. Another one, Mitch Barnett. Again, all the talk about how could you do Olakwatu like that? It's like, that's why. Olakwatu is a great player, but I think that proved that Barnett was the better fit. I thought it all series long. Well, game one, you go, okay. Game two, I thought he should have been in there. Turned out it didn't really matter, obviously. Game three, he was unreal. And he had to go on early. Pardon me, because of Crichton's head knock. And he's unreal. It was unreal. He was into it. He was putting shots on. He didn't get, any big shots, right? He didn't get that standout shot, that standout offload, that standout run, but he's just consistent. And he was New South Wales alpha male of that game. I really think he led that forward pack last night, and that was it was unreal. So to me, he's earned that. He's got to be in there going forward, absolutely. And the beauty about him is you could start him, you can bring him off the bench, you can play him in the front row, the edge, you can put him at 13 if you want. Unreal. Brady Best. Holy. I mean, literally a walking he's just a walking bowl of muscle. He was unbelievable. And man of the moment, the Wally Lewis medal, Angus Crichton. I can't believe it. And obviously a lot's been said, he was in reserve grade at the start of the year. Absolute fair play to him to get to this stage, but just all serious, I can't believe. Again, he really reminds me of Joe Tapani a few years ago, where he had that season, it might have been 21, where just guys could not get him to the ground. There would be 3 guys on him, including Big Nass, and you just could not get him to the ground. That is Angus Crichton this year. He is so strong, he is so physical, he is so aggressive. Now, yes, do I think he got away with a lot of shit? Yes, I do. He was pushing guys in the head every single tackle, every play of the ball. He was causing shit. Do I think he could have got pinged for 1 or 20? Yeah, I think maybe he could have. But he didn't. And he played to the whistle perfectly. He played to the occasion perfectly. And you got to give him credit for that. You got to take your licks. And I'm taking mine. And well-deserved, Wally Lewis. Well-deserved. He's just so strong. He is so physical this year. It's unbelievable. And he just is so intimidating. Like, if you just blanket looked at that team, I don't know if you would say that he was the most intimidating, but to me, by far he is. To me, he's a more intimidating presence this year than Spencer or Haas or Liam Martin. It was Angus Crichton, and he deserved that medal. So, full credit. I think that it does. We'll get into Queensland next, but I really think that there's going to be some headaches next year, and it's going to be really interesting what happens. Shout out Dylan Edwards, of course. I suppose you have to give the man of the match a shout out. Didn't do anything, spectacular, but just consistent. Just consistent. Got at every ball. Took every run. No errors. Hats off to him. And also fucking Lomax. Holy. You knew... when it's 2-0 and you take a penalty shot to get it to 2-2 at the 45th minute from the sideline, 30 out, and you fucking nail it, you knew the writing was on the wall. The writing was on the wall right there. And again, as I've said, potentially you could see it as me trying to backtrack, justify, claim a tip. I wouldn't look at it that way. And frankly, I couldn't understand if you did. But it could be thrown up. I did think New South Wales would win, but I obviously had to show loyalty. I had to show respect, and potentially it's been my downfall all year that I've tipped with my heart more than my head. But he kicked that, and you're like, oh, shit. Oh, shit. And then when it's to kick, they score the try, and it's 6-4, and he kicks it from the opposite sideline, and it looks like it's going for all money. And at the last minute, it turns, so he's on the left touchline, and it comes in from the left post, swings across face to squeeze in. Fate. Holy, the game was over. At 8-4, the game was done. It was done. You don't kick that and then lose the game. It does not happen. So, that was it. That kick was bigger than the try. It was unbelievable. So, shout out Lomax. But anyway, and we'll get into inclusions for Queensland, but when they get their full strength forward pack back, I cannot see New South Wales being able to play the power game and dominate to that effectiveness against a full strength Queensland pack. And as I said, last night, if it happens, they will win the next decade. They will go 8 in a row. If they do what they did this series to our full strength pack, we're talking Tino, Flegler, we're talking Gilbert. If for Feeder, for David, if they roll those guys like they did this year, you win the next 8. You will have your own dynasty. I mean, I'll actually stop watching football. It will be that rough, but I can't see that happening. So I think it's going to be interesting. And what you want more than if everyone's healthy. So let's assume everyone's healthy, and that's the Queensland forward pack. I don't think you would change New South Wales forward pack if everyone's healthy. I think you keep it exactly the same. I'd like to give another shout out to Isaiah. I swear to Christ, I just want this guy to get in his head. If he tucks a ball under his arm, he's a beast. Look at his post-contact meters. Look at his damaging runs. Like, when he just tucks the ball under his arm, he's a beast. But when he decides he's a halfback, no. I got to 10 minutes to go and I was praying, Isaiah, throw a cutout. Please, bro. I'm begging you. I'm on my hands and knees. Throw a cutout. Unfortunately, he didn't. So that kind of sucked. But anyway, I can't see the power game working next year. I think it'll cancel each other out. So that begs the question, do you continue with that approach and you just stick with the all-out power? If so, I think that Queensland's speed and attack will be able to come into more. Because again, you can only do so much when your four packs losing the battle. And we lost the battle all series and we couldn't get our football on. We just couldn't, To use a Billy Slater quote, we're still Queenslanders, but we couldn't get our footy on. Okay? New South Wales, on the other hand, full pack was rolling, they could. They don't, at least with that team, it's not a speed, it's not a team with the attacking upside of Queensland. I think that's fair to say. So if their power game doesn't come off, the way it did this year, do you change that approach? Do you have to mix and match? Do you put a bit more flair in the side and take a little bit away from your power game? I don't know. I think next year you have the headache. If everyone's healthy, I think you can't take Moses and Luai out of the 6 and 7. I don't think you can. I don't think you can. Like, I think Moses has to be the 7 going forward. And I don't think you could take Luai out of that. So then you have the question, what do you do with Cleary? You know, the fucking golden boy of rugby league. I think Moses stays at 7. Do you put Cleary at 6? Pretty harsh on Luai, but then potentially you could put Luai in the bench. If you're going for a little bit more flair, that's not bad at all. He could play. I think you have to keep Watson at 14. I think him and Robson, you keep that. You keep that going forward. Do you put Luai in the bench, Cleary at 6? That's certainly an option. Do you put Cleary on the bench? That's certainly an option. Does Cleary miss out? I don't know. That's going to be very interesting. But I think Moses and Luai have to be there. I think your forward pack goes unchanged. I think your backline goes unchanged. Of course, your debate is going to be the centers. I don't think... Again, next year, everyone's healthy. I don't know. I don't know if you can change those centers. I certainly don't think you can put Turbo in there. Again, if you want more flair, he's another one you could put on the bench. If you're taking a little bit out of your power game, you put him on the bench. You could certainly do that. But in terms of a starting center or wing, To'o and Lomax have locked that down, in my opinion. Man, everyone talks about Stephen Crichton, but to me, honestly, his position is more up for grabs than Bradman's. I just think his aggression and his thickness, and then his speed, like, I don't know. That's going to be very interesting. If everyone's healthy, do you change that center pairing? And if you do, I think Latrell's an option, but I don't think that Turbo is. I think if you're putting Turbo, you're putting him on the bench. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. But, you know, well deserved. On to Queensland. Look, you know, they were the better team. You've got to give credit to New South Wales. They were the better team. They deserved their win. And I think in this, like, the game 2 was just shell shock. Like, honest to God, I thought I was in Vietnam suffering shell shock. I've never seen, you know, the explosions I saw there were similar to that you would have seen in 1970 Saigon. I mean, it was just everywhere. And you couldn't stop them. The fucking Charlies were everywhere. I mean, you couldn't stop them. It was you were just shell shocked. We were stumped and couldn't recover. This game, I love the intensity. I love the decision. We won the toss. I love the decision to kick off. And funny enough, though, I said last episode that I had visions of Queensland getting the ball off the kickoff and shifting it. What happened 40 seconds in? Third tackle. New South Wales shifted, make the break, and if it wasn't for our, Lord and Saviour Jerry Evans getting the ankle tap on Brady Best who knocks it on, they score. It was going to be a 4-on-1. They were going to score. So that, the omen was there. It was just in the wrong fucking team. So that, been happening a lot this year. You're getting the vision, just getting it kind of fucked up in the order. Neither here nor there. I'll have a word with the gods, but I'll leave that private. But I love the defensive intensity. And I suppose we'll start with the changes he made on game day. Now, I mused that I would have had Paddy Carrigan at 10, and I would have had Ruben Cotter at 13. And I would have had Felice Kafusi starting for Nano. So I got that one right. What I didn't see coming was, although I didn't see Mo Fodawaker and Felice Kafusi being the starting front row. And then Harry Grant came in for Ben Hunt. And Nanai went to the bench for Ruben Cotter. Which meant our forward pack was Felice, Harry, Mo, Kurt, Ruben, and Paddy. And on the bench, we had Ben Hunt, Lindsay Collins, Nanai, and Ponga. I didn't see that coming, but I understood the logic, and I understand the logic. That was all out defense, and let's combat their aggression in this first 20 with our best defenders. And even like Ruben on an edge, he's done it before in Origin, so I wasn't nervous about that. Again, I still would have put him and Paddy. I would have swapped them, put Paddy in the front row, Felice on the edge, but whatever. It worked though. You can't say it didn't work. That first 20 was our most aggressive all series. That was a Queensland 20 minutes. It was all aggression and intensity. In that whole 40 minutes, like you would struggle to find a braver defensive effort than that first 40 minutes from Queensland. I mean, New South Wales had, I think, 70% of territory. They had like nearly 60% of possession. We had to make 40 or 50 more tackles. You know, they had more sets. It was unbelievable, and we didn't crack once. The issue with that was, whilst we didn't crack an defense, we couldn't crack them either. And as I already touched on, we couldn't run through them. And I think, you know, we just didn't have spark. And, you know, at half time, as I said to G, it was going to go one or two ways that half. For New South Wales, either they were going to be frustrated that they had all the chances, all the momentum, and could not crack them. It was going to make them frustrated, or it was going to inspire them and go, hey, Queensland, they're on the rack here. We keep this up, they're going to crack sooner or later. That's clearly what happened. Queensland, that defensive effort was either going to gas them, or it was going to make them think, holy shit, they couldn't score then, they'll never score. Unfortunately, it was the former. They got to the 60-minute mark and they were gassed. They were just gassed. And I just think all night you could see that playing in effect. They didn't run it straight the whole night. Like, their forwards did, but their backs didn't want a bar of it. Cobbo looked so tentative. He was running sideways the whole night. Poor old Reese had about 4, 5, 6. Maybe I think he should go in for a CAT scan. He was that beaten up that game. He was grabbing a calf, an ankle, a foot, his ribs, his kidney, his head, his neck. He was all over the place. Shoulder, bicep, like, you know, Jesus Christ, G's doing a placement in a hospital. She should have just done a placement at Suncorp Stadium. She would have learned a hell of a lot more because he was in the wars. So he wasn't particularly running straight. Val Holmes defended Lomax admirably in the air. Certainly looks, oh my God, keep him on the wing. Honestly, I never want to see him play Origin in the centres again. I don't want to see it. But, you know, Gagai was running it straight and Val was running it straight, but Hammer, he wasn't getting in any space, and anytime he did, he was like just looking for the ground. We had nothing, and that kind of summed up the whole series, and I think that's the effect of not winning the forward battle, is we didn't get the chance to play our attacking brand of football, and anytime it did, it just was disjointed. And I think you could see the PTSD in Reece Walsh. You look at you didn't get a chance to see in game one, but you look pre-game one, his strength and what he's known for is going deep into the line, drawing defenders with his speed and putting guys in holes, or going himself. Ever since game one, he's not doing that. And you can't blame him, but he came out for the Broncos, looked great. I went, okay, he's back. In this game, he was getting heavily involved, but anytime he was putting on shifts and going to the side, he was passing 2, 3, 4 meters before the defender. So Hammer or Gags was getting the ball and they're just swamped. The defenders are on them before they've caught the ball. That was a killer, you know. So I'm proud of the boys, but they had nothing. And then you go into Ponga. I would have liked to see him come on in the first half at about the 30-minute mark. I think that 10 minutes there, when it was starting to get gas, I think you could have opened him up there, and that could have been smart to put him on. They didn't, of course, they waited, and he came on, and you could see, he was looking to get involved, he was solid in defense, and he looked electric. The problem was, I think we just waited a little bit too long, because by the time he came on, Queensland were already gassed, and then no one could put him in space, particularly with Reece Walsh being, you know, so beat up. There was no electricity, and like I had visions of, you know, Ponga to Walsh to Hammer, but Hammer was cooked, Walsh was cooked, and then Ponga had nothing. Like he couldn't There's only so much. It's the same with Tom Dearden, who I think, we'll touch on him in a minute, but he was unreal. But even him, by that point, didn't have the legs in him to set Ponga up. He was kind of just, spray and pray sort of stuff. Give him the ball and kind of hope he pulls something out of his ass. Then there was a lot of times where he's there and you're looking, he's our best defensive weapon, but Harry Grant would go the opposite way from dummy half. Like, there were just some weird decisions, and it summed up the whole series. It was the first time in these 3 years that they haven't looked in unison. And like I said, I just think that's an effect of losing the forward battle. Key players, I think that Cherry Evans is still Mr. Reliable. Now again, he's attacking flair. We didn't really get to see it. His elite kicking game, we didn't really get to see it just because we were getting dominated. Like, we were on the back foot all night, so you didn't really get to see that. But again, like, that shift in New South Wales make the first set. Who's the one that gets the ankle tap? Him. Who's the one that gets in? Who's the one that's always making that last tackle? Him. Who's the one that's always in the right place, right time? Him. So he was great. I think our clear two best players were Tom Dearden and Paddy Carrigan. They were unreal. Paddy Carrigan, particularly in that first half, took it to New South Wales. He did exactly what was asked of it, and he was the alpha male. He was the leader, and he went after Haas. He went after them. So hold your head high up, bruh. It was unreal, and he was just unreal. He did not take a backward step, despite us getting dominated. He was taking tough hit-ups. He'd take 2 a set. He was always meeting guys for the big shots, leading our defense. He was awesome. And Tommy Dearden, easily his best game in the series. It was interesting. Like, he is regarded as one of the best defensive halves in the game. Yet this series, he was targeted relentlessly, and he wasn't holding up. He was getting beaten up this series, and it was you'll question his defense. But last night he locked it up. I can't remember him missing a tackle. Even though I'm Moses there, he's the one making the desperate effort. The one he makes that huge break, and again, that summed up the series. He made the huge break, goes 70 meters, and there's no one there. It's him in daylight with blue jerseys around him. Like, you haven't seen that before. Usually there's a Walsh or Pong, there's someone there. Like, you just haven't seen that before. But look, he tried all night. Just wasn't to be. Give me a second. Quick drink. I think, look, and everyone will obviously be like, oh, if Yoda had Fafita in there, he would have won. No, we wouldn't have. I would have had him in there, but we wouldn't have. I don't think it changes the result, ultimately. But there are going to be some very interesting changes next year. First and foremost, the big question, especially after a loss, and a loss like that in a series where we're just in the back for all night, you've got a 35 and a 34-year-old on that side. Our two leaders. The big question next year is, does DCE and Ben Hunt play on? Now, I've heard no talk of DCE hanging up the Origin boots. Ben Hunt, on the other hand, I have heard whispers that, they obviously both know the end's near, but I saw a report that, hey, he's, that's a serious question, whether he plays Origin again. Wants to spend more time with the kids. Obviously, that you take that representative break, prolongs your career a little bit. Ben Hunt starting on the bench, does that say something? I don't know. But that's, first and foremost, that's going to be the interesting decision. Now, based on form, I would have both of them in that side. I think Reed Marnie being in there, that's another little question. I have a feeling that next year Cherry Evans plays on, but I don't think Ben Hunt will play on. My gut feeling, especially he got beat up last night, my gut feeling is Cherry plays, Ben Hunt doesn't. I would choose both, but that's a serious thing. That's a serious question right there. I think, now again, you look for changes for the team. If everyone's healthy, and, that's a serious question, particularly if everyone's healthy, Thomas Flegler and Tom Gilbert come straight into my side. Flegler he's all the reports were with his shoulder injury that could be career threatening. So let's pray that that's not the case and he can come back. So we're going to assume that they're healthy, but he's serious. And I'm still not even sure if Tom Gilbert's had his ACL surgery because of all the complications with the blood clotting and everything he had. So I don't even know if he's had it yet. He'll be running close to coming back next year and being healthy. So that's a big question mark. But let's just assume that everyone is healthy, including those two boys. As I already touched on, I don't see our forward pack getting dominated. What I would have next year, if you're looking, everyone's healthy. Kalen Ponga's my fullback. He was my fullback last year. He was my fullback pre-season, pre-series. I said it on here. I would have had him at fullback last night, Reese on the bench. And I really think when Reese was clearly sore and hurt when Ponga came on, I really think that Billy should have taken Reese off and put Ponga at fullback then. I was saying it, that's what I would have done. And then maybe even Reese just needed 10, 15 minutes on the bench and you could have brought him on like Sewer. He blows the game open. I think that was a missed call right there. I think that could have changed some things. So everyone's healthy. Ponga is my fullback. My wingers are Xavier Coates. I think I have Murray Taulagi over Val Holmes. I think Val, he's got to earn that spot. And I based off that game, I have Hammer and Gagai in the centers and Murray on the wing. I think that's the case. Your 6 and 7, oh my God, I just want Munster back. And especially like last night, you just knew like if Munster's on that field, he does what Luai does. He makes that break out of nothing. You just know it, but he wasn't there. Unfortunately, 2 of the 3 years with Billy at the helm, we haven't had him in a decider. So that's kind of getting a little bit shitty, but... So Munster's my 6, obviously. My 7 is, it's DC if he's healthy. If DC isn't healthy, I think you go Tom Dearden. And obviously with no Val, Ponga would be our kicker. But no... I think it's DC. If DC isn't there, it's between Tom Dearden and Sam Walker. Tom Dearden is obviously ahead of Sam Walker. I think he's earned the right. I love the attacking flair of Sam Walker, and I know that Billy would too. I just think, like we all know, like he would just be a target. You would have to surround him with your best defenders. So he's certainly brave enough, but he would be making 40, 50 tackles. So I don't know if his body could hold up to it. But yeah, that's an option. I think our forward pack is where our changes are. I think our starting front row, game 1, everyone's healthy, should be Tino and Paddy Carrigan. You see it last night. Paddy Carrigan plays 13 like a front rower, especially in Origin. I think he should have been starting in the front row. And him and Tino, oh yeah. Him and Tino in the forward pack go toe-to-toe with anyone. After last night, I think you start Harry Grant over Ben Hunt. If Ben Hunt does retire from Origin football, Reed Marnie comes in. The question is, do you want Reed Marnie on there for defense and just, nuisance? Do you want that niggle and aggression to start with Harry, the class to come off? Or do you put Harry on there, start him, you know he's up for the tough stuff, and then you bring, I think you might do that, and then you bring Reed on, put him at 9, and then you play Harry as that kind of ball-playing lock. I think that's what you do. And then in our edge back rows, I think, what did I say? If everyone's healthy, I think you have Tom Gilbert on one edge and you have David Fafita on the other edge. I think that's what you do. Tom Gilbert is Queensland's Liam Martin. And Fafita, I think, will be hungrier than ever. He's big, strong, fast, aggressive. I really think you could have him for some impact. Or you could bring him off the bench And I've got to give credit to Jeremiah Nanai. Like, I liked him on the bench because he's an attacking player, but he's been unreal this series. And you've got to give full credit to him. They're interchangeable for me. Potentially, I actually like Nanai starting. In Origin, I think I want Nanai starting and Gilbert starting. And I would have Ruben Cotter at 13. My bench would then be Reed Marnie at 14, if not Ben Hunt, Lindsay Collins, Tom Flegler, and Fafita. But then you've got guys like both for more is knocking on the door. Hopgood's knocking on the door. And then you have the question, do you want another back on the bench? If you want another back on the bench... Sorry, Cobbo's another option for the centers. You could put Reece Walsh on the bench. But I don't know if that's the way I'd go. I think against this New South Wales team, I go Reed Marnie, Lindsay Collins, Tom Flegler, and David Fafita. I think that solves our problems right there. In terms of aggression, you could, if you think Harry Grant can play 80 minutes, potentially you could put. Oh, I don't know. I just think that I don't know. There's so many things that have to happen, but like I said, guys like Beaufort and Hopgood are knocking on the door. You would have outside backs knocking on the door. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting. As I said on my Instagram, on our Instagram, FinNG, give us a follow. Look, 2014 written all over it. I do believe that it will be quite back and forth, but I could also see, you get one, New South Wales has the time in the sun, and then the clouds come in, and it's another three-peat. Thanks for coming. But yeah, hats off to New South Wales. Well deserved. I'll take my licks. I've got to say, thank Christ it's the school holidays. I work at a school, and I didn't want to face the kids. It's quite hard to be respectful to 7-year-olds, when they're bagging the life out of you. It's hard to hold your tongue, be professional. So this is quite nice, actually. It's worked out well. But look, regular episode next Wednesday. But yes, go New South Wales. Hooroo.